What's going on, YouTube? It's Evo from Automobile Passion, and today we have something pretty interesting actually. I'm sitting in a 2008 BMW 335i. So these cars, if you don't know what they are, it's pretty much BMW's tried and true 3 Series. This is the, if I'm wrong, I believe this is the E92 coupe, because the E93 is the convertible. Yep, E92 08 335. The E90 body style came out in 06. The 325 was the first one that came out. It was a sedan, and I think 2007 was the first year for the coupe and the convertible. And unlike the E46, which is the previous generation, the E93, they had a hardtop convertible. I'll throw some pictures in here so you guys can see, but the E46 had a soft top. So, you know, whatever preference you prefer. I think the E93 might be a little bit heavier, just because it is a open this up a little bit, just because it is a hardtop. But then again, you got to remember, it's a little bit safer. This car in general, so like I said, 08 335. This is the, I think it's the N62 or N64. I could be wrong. I could be butchering that. I'll throw it in the thing. It's a 3-liter twin turbo inline 6. The 328, which was the other car you could have purchased, had, or one of the other three series options in 08. That one had the same engine, but it's naturally aspirated, so no turbos, just NA power, and I think that one makes 230, 220. This one I believe makes around 300, 310, maybe something like that. This is just sort of, I'm just jumping into it right now. But yeah, pretty much these cars are actually really beloved by the community, by the tuning community and whatnot, just because they, you know, a lot of people like to call this the modern day 2JZ, for a lot of reasons. One being that it's actually a okay, relax, it's telling me that the tire's low, but it's actually not, it's flipping out or whatnot. But these are loved by many in the tuning community, just because, you know, like, I'm going to reiterate, a lot of them consider it to be the modern day Toyota 2JZ. There's a lot of tuning potential. There's a huge aftermarket scene for this engine, for kind of good reason. We'll get into the cons in a little bit, but since we're still on the positives, because I mean, it is a cool car. This one does have, I believe, the 7-speed automatic. I believe, yeah, it's a 7-speed, or it's a 7 or 6-speed. I think they might have changed it later on, but I think it's a 7-speed. It's not a dual clutch, it's not a DCT, it's not any of the, you know, Tiptronic or whatever they call them. Actually, this one might be one of those, but it's just an auto. In 08, you could have got this with the auto, or you could have had this car with the 6-speed manual, which in my opinion is, you know, I would have gone with the manual. But, you know, I didn't buy this car new. Obviously the guy, whoever bought it first, did. But this one's pretty well optioned out. You know, I wouldn't say it's a base model, but I think it might be fully loaded from all, because it has the iDrive infotainment system, which I know it was I think a $1,200 option, or maybe even more than that. But it also has paddle shifters. I'll throw it in on the screen here just because you can't see it from here. Paddle shifters, which a lot of these cars did. I'm not sure if they came with these exact paddle shifters or if it's just the little ones, but that has it. This one also has a DVD option down here. You could put DVDs in. Heated seats. I think these are a little bit better seats than the stock ones. They're a little bit better bolstering. Lumbar's a little bit better. So it's a good option car, and, you know, just from the greatness of depreciation, now you could probably pick the one. I think this one retails for about maybe 7-8 grand. So yeah, which, you know, if you know what you're getting into, it's not a bad deal. The only problem that arises with these cars is when you purchase them and you don't know what you're getting into. So that's going to lead me a little bit into the cons of these vehicles. And there's a few. So one major one, and it's one you kind of have to watch out with BMWs. There's a few oil leaks. One predominant one is the valve cover. I think a lot of BMWs tend to leak from the valve cover. Just, you know, it's a thing. I think their gaskets aren't up to par from what I've heard. So they tend to leak, you know, as they get older, they burn out, they become really brittle, and they start letting oil through. So to replace that, it's not that hard. but you know, it's tedious because you got to take off the front shroud and all this BS. So it's a little bit of work to get to it. Another thing is the oil filter housing gasket. That tends to leak a lot, and that one's a pain in the butt if you don't know what you're doing. To get to it, there's a bolt right next to the intake that if you could get to it, but it just takes a little bit of thinking to get it out without having to remove the intake, because that's what they recommend. BMW recommends removing the intake just so you have more clearance and more room to be able to get to what you need to get to, just to get to that one bolt. Everything else is accessible. It's that one bolt it's literally right between the housing and the intake, and it's a pain in the butt to remove. But regardless, this one's had it done. We just did it at the shop. We also did the oil pan gasket because I was leaking. I don't know if that's a common issue. I think it just, those, they're like every other car. They leak, of course. I mean, every car starts leaking after it has, this particular car has 134,000 miles on it. So, it's not by any means a brand new car, but honestly, for a lot of the people that are in the tuning community, it's, these people like me personally, I don't get scared by miles. I will buy a 200,000 mile Mercedes any day of the week, just like you guys know I did with that Silver E-Class. It's just about, you got to know if the car's been maintained and whatnot. Looking at the car, you have to know what you're looking at, and especially with the 335. I have a friend of mine, you guys know Blago. He has his best friend actually last year, I believe, bought a E92 328. He wanted a 335 really bad, and when Blago was talking to me about it, I was like, dude, tell him not to do that. He doesn't need the problems, because if you have the money and you have the resources, the 335 is a fantastic car. You can have a lot of fun with it. But this is going to lead me into one of the biggest cons, the biggest con actually of the 335, and that's the turbos. The turbos go out, the car starts smoking. If you guys don't know how the setup on this car is, there's a turbo for the first 3 cylinders of the Banks, and then there's a turbo for the other 3. So there's twin turbo, and it's one for the first 3, one for the 4, 5, 6. So when they go out, unfortunately on this car, it's not very easy to replace them. It's not just actually, what am I doing? I'm going in the wrong lane. It's not just, oh, you can just take them out and just remove them and you're done. No, in this car, you either remove the subframe or you remove the engine. There's no other way really of doing it, and as far as I know, there's no other way of doing it. You remove the subframe or you remove the engine. That's it. That's it. I'm just being brutally honest. It's a pain in the butt to do it. That's why a lot of people, after the turbos go out, they remove them, and they just they do a single swap and they mount it on top, just because it's so much easier to get to if anything goes bad. It's much better. It performs better. So a lot of the forums, a lot of the tuning that you see on these cars, everybody single turbo swaps these cars. I can't speak on if it's better. I'm assuming so, since everybody does it, and I know these turbos have problems. But if you're looking for an everyday driver, if you find one that's had the turbos replaced and it's been maintained, these are pretty good cars. That's really just about the gist of, I think, the major cons. I mean, I've heard that BMWs have some problems with the iDrive electronic system. Some of the electronics go out because the cars, I mean, now it's an 11-year-old car. You can't expect everything to be perfection. It's fantastic. But then again, it's also, it just boils down to if you maintain the car or not, or if the person before you maintained it. If you go buy a brand new car and you don't change the oil on it, it's not going to last you more than like 20,000 miles, if we're being honest here. It's going to blow out. It's going to blow up. And, this car's been maintained. I can see that right here. It's had a recent oil change. It's actually due for an oil change, so we're going to speak to the customer, see if he wants to do it or not. What else did we replace on it? Oh, we replaced the expansion tank. I've heard the expansion tanks on these cars tend to crack because they're plastic. After all the heat and whatnot, they'll crack, and this one cracked and started leaking through down, so it would leave a puddle underneath the car every time you drive it. So yeah, the owner carried like 2 tubes of antifreeze with him every time. But that's all been done. The car's in right now, from where it sits, it's in really good condition now. It's a cool car. I was actually interested in buying this one, but the more I thought about it, I really just want a manual. That's, I've wanted one for a long time, and I think if I end up going with this, I'm probably just going to regret it down the road. Just because, all of us car guys, we all want a manual. But saying that, this transmission's actually not that bad. It's not as bad as some of the other ones, Once you stomp on it, it gets up, it goes, and just once we get off down here off the main road, I'll do a little pull and you guys can see. But I mean, just driving normally, I'm just driving in, you know, in drive, not sport mode, nothing. I'm just not even pushing it, and the car, you know, it picks up good. It's actually really good. It's driving fantastic right now, and you know, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx myself, but it's a pretty cool car. But yeah, I mean, this isn't like a typical, I mean, it is a review. I'm doing a review on the car, but yeah, I like it. I really do. I think it's a really cool car. For me, it has to be a manual. I'm the biggest fan of, you know, being able to have the 3 pedals, the stick shift, and if you want my advice on whether you should buy this car or not, right, brake clamp. Okay, if you should buy this car or not, really do focus on getting a manual. If you know how to drive manual, definitely go with the manual. The automatic's not a bad transmission. These are the old BMW transmissions, so they're reliable. They're not like those ones after they changed with the, if you guys have seen them with the joystick shifter, I'll throw in a picture right here so you guys know what I'm talking about. These are the old style ones. These are nice. They're reliable, they're good, so you can't really go wrong with them. But you know, again, I would go with a manual just because it's much funner to drive. And if you're buying a 335, you might as well get it with a manual, because I mean, you know, it's much funner to drive. Whoa, she got a little sideways and I didn't even push her. Oh man, oh, voice crack. So yeah, you know, it's a really cool car. It's really good maintained. I'm in manual right now, so I'm gonna downshift to third. I'm right here in this. I mean, it handles really good. And I'm not even, you know, I'm not flooring it in this turn or anything, but the steering is really responsive. I think this one has electronic steering, or I could be wrong, maybe it's hydraulic, but it's really responsive. You turn and the thing goes. It's like a Porsche. Whoa, man, dude. God, and it got sideways a little bit. It started, traction control kicked in, so, you know, man, is this a fun car, dude. Oh, honestly, if I had the cash, I'd probably buy a manual, just because I have the resources to take care of it with the shop. But it's definitely not, you know, the turbos aren't a project you want to take care of by yourself. So how is this car on comfort? How, you know, is it comfortable to drive? How is it? So I think honestly it's a pretty comfortable car, if I'm being honest. The seats are very comfortable. Like I said before, the bolster and the lumbar are pretty comfortable. You have the little extension for your legs. Obviously it's leather, so it's comfortable. It's a very cool car. It really is. The interior is pleasant to look at. It's nothing, I don't really think there's a lot of, you know, plastics in here. I mean, there's a few like on the center console. I'll throw some pictures in. But honestly, with this dark wood, it makes it looks pretty good in my opinion. Now on the back seats, I don't know if the back seats are the most spacious. They're not bad. I think they're better than the Camaro seats, because the Camaro seats are just horrendous. I've sat in the back of a Camaro and it's horrendous. But these aren't that bad. You could probably fit a child in the back, maybe an adult if you move the seat up a little bit. You know, it's not the most comfortable car, but I mean, you don't buy this car to put people in the back, really. You buy it to have fun, right? And honestly, for that, for the price they're going at with this miles, I think this car, or KBBs or something like that, it values at around 75, maybe $7 grand. And for that price, it's a pretty good deal. If you know what you're looking for, make sure you check the turbos, make sure you check everything. It's a pretty good, you know, for the money, it's a pretty cool car to drive. Now, make sure you don't get scammed with something, because I know online they sell these Chinese parts for the turbos. So a lot of used car dealers don't replace the turbos. They just put on these fake, like, they're the same part, but they're just cheaper made, so the car isn't as quick. It doesn't spool as much, so you can't feel the boost, and it feels like an NA car. So make sure you watch out for that when you drive them. Drive one that you know is for sure good, so you can know what the car is like. And then if I don't know, just make sure you don't get screwed over, because honestly, there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of scumbags that will try to screw you over with these cars. Always check for leaks, always. And if you can, get a warranty. If the warranties cover the engine and drivetrain, you're set. But yeah, guys, I want to thank you guys all so much for watching this video. It means a lot to me that I get, a good amount of views. I mean, the Mercedes views up to 13,000. That's insane. So make sure you guys like this video. Make sure you thumbs it up. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about the E90 series of 3 Series. It doesn't have to be a 335. It could even be the M3. Hey man, if any of you guys have an M3 and you want to let me review it, let's set something up, because those are one of my favorite cars. The E92 M3 is just, it's a fantastic car. Okay, this van's blocking me. But yeah, if you guys have one and somebody wants to let me review it, please. But yeah, so I guess I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you.